Shedeur Sanders is sidelined. Joe Flacco is warming up. And Dillon Gabriel is somehow still getting first-team reps. Despite back-to-back practices filled with missed throws, panic decisions, and a growing chorus of confusion from fans and analysts alike, this is not a quarterback competition. It's a power play. Day 9 of Brown's training camp was supposed to be a momentum builder. Sanders had been lighting it up, showing poise beyond his years, running with the second-team offense and carving up Cleveland's starting defense like it was college all over again. Then suddenly he's absent. No throws, no reps, just standing on the sidelines, reportedly dealing with arm soreness. The reaction? Not concern, not alarm, just frustration. Because while Sanders sits out, precautionary or not, Dillon Gabriel is flaming out in real time. And no matter how many passes he sails or how many open reads he misses, he's still being treated like the franchise favorite. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Let's be real, Gabriel is struggling. On day 8, he threw an interception during a simple red zone rep after hesitating and forcing a late ball into coverage. On day 9, he followed it up by freezing under pressure, missing a rollout opportunity, and getting swallowed by the defense. And yet, he remains the first face under center in every drill. And then there's Joe Flacco, steady, predictable, aging. He's taking his share of snaps, yes, but no one thinks he's the future. He's a placeholder, a mentor, a talking point. But when his podcast comments dropped, everything changed. Flacco didn't just share insight. He pulled back the curtain. He confirmed what many suspected. Reps aren't being earned. They're being handed out based on politics and pecking order. According to Flacco, quarterbacks like Shedeur simply aren't getting a fair shake. They're buried in the rep chart before the battle even begins. And when the most poised NFL-ready rookie on the roster is being iced out while a flailing prospect is being propped up, it doesn't just raise questions. It exposes the whole operation. What's happening in Cleveland isn't just mismanagement. It's organizational denial. The coaching staff keeps insisting this is an open competition. But open competitions don't have pre-picked winners. Open competitions don't bench the guy completing 70% of his passes for the one completing 30. And open competitions don't treat a breakout rookie like an inconvenience just because he's messing up the plan. Because make no mistake, Shedeur Sanders is a plan, they just weren't ready for it. He was supposed to be a developmental pick, a fifth-round flyer, someone who'd sit behind Gabriel and Flacco and maybe get a look in 2 years. But he walked into camp, took the playbook like a vet, and started throwing dots against Cleveland's top-tier defense. And just like that, the narrative cracked. Sanders isn't just outperforming expectations. He's outperforming the depth chart. And the Browns clearly don't know what to do with that. So instead of adjusting to reality, they're doubling down on denial. Gabriel continues to get the spotlight, despite collapsing under it. The coaching staff keeps talking about patience and growth, while ignoring the quarterback already showing it. And fans, they're over it. The Browns have had more quarterback projects than playoff wins in the last 20 years. This city knows what false hope looks like, and this isn't it. Shedeur Sanders isn't hype. He's showing actual production, command, leadership. He's already earned the trust of key players like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy. And yet, he's stuck on the sidelines watching someone else flounder through his reps. Even analysts who are usually cautious are starting to call it out. Nick Wright slammed Gabriel's size and performance, calling him unfit for a starting role. Chris Broussard openly questioned why Shedeur isn't getting more opportunities, arguing that Cleveland might be passing on their next franchise guy just to save face. And through all of this, Shedeur hasn't lashed out once. No tantrums, no ego, just focus. That's what separates him. While the staff tries to mold Gabriel into something he's not, Sanders is standing there, already NFL ready and proving it every time he's let on the field. But letting him on the field has become the problem. He's missing reps, missing rhythm. And not because he's underperforming, because he's overperforming and it doesn't fit the script. That's the harshest part of all this. Sanders is being held back for being too good, too soon. So what now? Well, if the Browns have any sense of long-term vision, or even just short-term survival, they'll need to break out of this paralysis. Because every day Sanders sits while Gabriel stalls, they lose credibility with fans, analysts, and more importantly, the locker room. The players know. They see it every day. The guy who leads a huddle. The guy who throws the tightest ball. The guy who doesn't blink under pressure. That's who they want behind center. And it's not Gabriel. If the Browns really care about winning, not PR wins, not draft pride, they'll stop playing politics and start playing football. They'll put the best player under center. And right now, that's Shedeur Sanders. Even with a sore arm, even with a rookie label, even with the weight of a famous last name, he's already shown more command and capability than his competitors. Cleveland has a choice. Let the politics bury another young talent. Or finally break the cycle and let performance speak louder than pedigree. And if they choose wrong, don't be surprised when Sanders succeeds somewhere else. Because he will. The most damning part of this whole ordeal isn't just what the Browns are doing. It's what they aren't doing. They're not adjusting. They're not reevaluating. They're not reacting to reality. They're clinging to a decision made in a draft room months ago, and they're willing to ride that decision into the ground, even if it takes their credibility and Shedeur Sanders with it. Let's talk about the locker room. Inside those walls, the divide is growing. Coaches might still be pushing the fair competition line in press conferences, but the players, they've seen the throws. They felt the energy shift when Shedeur walks into the huddle. They know what it means when one quarterback commands silence, and the other gets side-eye after an incomplete pass. Sanders doesn't just talk like a leader. He moves like one. Quick decisions, calculated risk, vocal direction. He's got the presence that quarterbacks either have or don't. You can't manufacture it. And you definitely can't coach it into a guy who's throwing hospital balls in red zone drills and then walking off the field like it's no big deal. Every time Gabriel short hops a check down or panics in a collapsing pocket, you can feel it. A slight pause, a glance from a receiver, a defender trying not to shake his head. It's subtle, but it's there. Meanwhile, when Shedeur's behind center, there's focus. Guys run sharper routes. The cadence is cleaner. Even when he doesn't throw, the rhythm is different. It's like the team subconsciously elevates because they believe in him. And that matters more than the box score. A quarterback can't just be a playmaker. He has to be a thermostat. He sets the emotional temperature for the whole team. And right now, Shedeur's heat is undeniable. The Browns, they're doing everything they can to ignore it. Let's not forget, this is the same franchise that mishandled Baker Mayfield's development, burned through Johnny Manziel, fumbled a Deshaun Watson PR nightmare, and now somehow thinks the answer lies in doubling down on Dillon Gabriel, a third-round pick who's looked more like a clipboard holder than a starter. And that's not to disrespect Gabriel's effort. He's not lazy. He's not entitled. But he's simply not rising to the moment. This isn't about how much he wants it. It's about whether he's ready for it. And right now, he's not. Not when you're a defensive lineman blowing up plays and Gabriel hesitating like he's in a 7-on-7 walkthrough instead of a live-fire drill. Sanders, on the other hand, when the lights have come on, when he's been given even a shred of opportunity, he's delivered. Clean mechanics, quick release, controlled footwork, and above all, confidence that never crosses into arrogance. You'd think that would be enough to warrant a shift in the rotation. A few more reps, maybe even a full day with the starters. But instead, what do the Browns do? They keep burying him. Buried behind a guy who's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in camp. Buried behind a 38-year-old placeholder who's basically giving TED Talks in a locker room instead of chasing a roster spot. Buried behind an institutional ego that would rather be right than win. That's where the fans come in. Social media has turned into a war zone. Some are calling for Stefanski's job. Others are already prepping mock trades, sending Shedeur to quarterback-needy teams. A few have even started circulating side-by-side camp stats comparing Shedeur and Gabriel. Spoiler, it's not close. But stats alone don't tell the full story. It's the intangibles that have the city buzzing. It's the maturity, the interviews, the way Shedeur talks about earning reps, not expecting them, the way he deflects credit, lifts up his teammates, and stays in rhythm even when everything around him is chaotic. He's built for this, not because he's Dion's son, not because he's a media darling, but because he's handling the dysfunction better than the people creating it. And that's terrifying for the coaching staff, at least because the more Shedeur excels in limited reps, the harder it becomes to keep the illusion going. The illusion that this is a process. That patience is required. That he'll get his shot when he's ready. Ready? He's already there. This isn't a raw athlete who needs to be protected. This is a finished product walking into a broken system and asking, why is no one fixing this? And that's the question the Browns can't answer. Because to fix it, they'd have to admit they're the ones breaking it. That brings us to Jimmy Haslam. The owner's silence on the quarterback situation has been interesting. There are rumors he's been impressed by Sanders, that he's made a few quiet comments behind closed doors about how the kid might have it. But if that's true, why hasn't anything changed? Is it that he doesn't want to step on Stefanski's toes? Is he trying to avoid another headline after a decade of turbulence? Or is he just waiting for the situation to implode before stepping in? Whatever the case, leadership from the top is sorely lacking. And the longer it goes unaddressed, the worse the fallout will be. Because let's be clear, this will reach a boiling point. Shedeur Sanders is too talented and too respected to be held down forever. Eventually, someone's going to speak up. A player, a coach, a reporter. Someone's going to leak what everyone's already whispering, that Sanders is being held back by internal politics, not performance. And once that happens, the floodgates open. You'll see teammates choosing sides. You'll see reporters digging up quotes. You'll see agents making calls. And worst of all, you'll see Sanders wondering if this is even the right place for him. The Browns cannot afford to let it get to that point. Not after everything they've been through. Not after building what was supposed to be a new era of stability. But stability requires clarity. And clarity requires honesty. So here's the truth. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. Not officially, not on the depth chart, but in spirit, in execution, in every meaningful measure that actually wins football games. The Browns can either recognize that now or risk losing everything trying to cover it up later. Because this isn't just about quarterback reps anymore. This is about trust. Trust between coaches and players, between fans and franchise, between a rising star and the team that was supposed to believe in him. And if Cleveland lets that trust erode, they'll lose a lot more than a quarterback competition. They'll lose the future they spent years trying to build. If you really want to understand where this is going, don't watch the coaches, watch the players. Because as the quarterback situation spirals from uncomfortable to untenable, the energy in the Browns' locker room has shifted in ways that can't be hidden. There's a quiet divide, not an open mutiny. Yet, but a clear split between those towing the official line and those quietly pulling for Shedeur Sanders to get what he's earned. When you see veterans subtly moving to Sanders' side during position breaks, or wide receivers warming up with him during their downtime instead of Gabriel, it's not accidental. When defensive players nod in approval after Shedeur completes a tough throw against the first team, even when he's supposed to be just a scout team guy, that's not a coincidence. That's respect. It's hard-earned, and it's dangerous for the coaching staff, at least, because nothing eats at a team faster than a locker room that knows the wrong guy is starting. And let's be clear, they know. They've watched Dillon Gabriel go 3, 4, 11 and 7 on 7s. They've watched him misread safeties, underthrow fades, and second-guess every decision until the defense eats him alive. And they've watched Shedeur, calm and composed, make those exact same reads look effortless. They've seen the ball spin out of his hand with perfect placement, the footwork refined, the tempo just right. So when coaches like Stefanski and quarterbacks coach Drew Petzing keep trotting out vague lines like, "We believe in the process," or "It's still early," the team hears something very different. We're sticking with the plan no matter what the evidence says. And that's where the cracks start to form. Off the field, things aren't much better. Rumors are swirling, quietly for now, but they're building. Some say Sanders is frustrated, but still locked in. Others claim his camp is already looking at long-term scenarios. quietly wondering if Cleveland is the right place for him to fully grow. And while none of that is confirmed, the energy around the situation is undeniably tense. What started as a promising camp narrative, rookie fifth-rounder makes big splash, is turning into a cautionary tale in the making. The Browns had lightning in a bottle, and instead of recognizing it, they try to shelve it. Why? Pride, mostly. Draft hierarchy. Front office justification. The fear that admitting Shedeur is ready would mean admitting Gabriel was a mistake. That all the hours poured into building his arc were sunk costs. And sunk costs are a dangerous drug in the NFL. How many teams have gone down with the wrong quarterback? Simply because they couldn't stomach the optics of letting a late-round rookie beat out a higher draft investment? Too many to count, and Cleveland seems determined to join that list. But here's the problem. Shedeur Sanders is not the type to wait around and be silenced. This is a player who's grown up under relentless media scrutiny, whose last name is literally football royalty, who played with a target on his back at Jackson State, then thrived in the pack, 12 under a microscope bigger than any rookie in this camp has experienced. And through all of it, he's remained composed, competitive, confident. He's not shaken by unfair treatment. He doesn't flinch when things go quiet around him. He's used to being doubted, and more importantly, he knows how to weaponize it. The longer Cleveland suppresses his rise, the more they're fueling his next chapter, whether it's in a Browns uniform or not. Because Shedeur is not the kind of player who fades away. If they mishandle the situation, he'll leave, land somewhere else, and become the kind of "we let that guy go" regret that haunts franchises for decades. We've seen it before, and the fan base sees it too. They're not stupid. They know the history. They've endured the carousel of false hope. From Manziel to Kaiser to Mayfield to Watson. Every time a new savior arrives, they're sold the same story. This time, we have the guy, but now they can feel the difference. This isn't hype. This isn't projection. This is Shedeur Sanders doing the job, and being told he'll need to wait anyway. It doesn't sit right. It never will. Even the local beat reporters, some of whom usually play nice to keep access, are starting to grumble. It's impossible to watch this competition up close and not notice a discrepancy in treatment, opportunity, and results. And then there's Joe Flacco, the veteran, the bridge, the guy whose arm still has flashes of brilliance, but whose body speaks like it's trying to make its final tour without falling apart. He hasn't stirred the pot, but he's not defending the current plan either. He knows what a real quarterback looks like. He's won a Super Bowl. He's seen fire and collapse. And based on his tone lately, it's clear he knows Shedeur has it. So if the rookie's talent is evident, the locker room respect him, and even Flacco is quietly co-signing the buzz, what's left? Only the front office and coaching egos. And those might be the hardest obstacles to overcome. Because to pivot now, to elevate Shedeur above Gabriel before the first preseason game, it would take humility. It would require someone in a high-rise office or a staff meeting to say, "We got it wrong. The better quarterback wasn't the one we invested in." But that almost never happens in real time. It only happens after the losses pile up, after the boos start, after another lost season, send them back to the drawing board. That's the Browns' most dangerous pattern. They wait too long. They hope things correct themselves. They try to will their original plan into working, even when the plan is failing in plain sight. But quarterbacks don't wait, and Shedeur Sanders won't either. He'll keep working. He'll keep showing up early, running scout team reps with fire in his eyes, burying every moment of doubt in execution. But at some point, that patience ends. And if Cleveland isn't ready to make the leap with him, they better be prepared to watch him do it somewhere else. Because the clock's ticking, the film doesn't lie, and the truth is standing right in front of them, wearing number 2, holding a helmet, and waiting for the rep he's already earned 10 times over. He's ready. The question is, are they? Because if the Browns can't recognize the future in their own building, they're not just risking a bad decision. They're writing their next regret in permanent ink.